Hi, thanks for joining me for this week's quick business tip. Have you ever finally made a really difficult decision to say no to something? That might be quitting a committee, ending the contract, or leaving a group. And after that initial wave of relief, you felt a sudden rush of panic. Have you ever found yourself staring at that new empty space in your calendar and feeling an almost compulsive urge to fill it with just about anything to feel productive and safe again? Well, if you've ever felt these things, then this episode is for you. Last week, we talked about the power of a graceful no, and today we're going to talk about what happens next. I'm going to give you a simple new checklist that can act as a guardian for that new space that you have created on your calendar. And we're going to make sure that we fill it with only the best hell yes commitment for you. We're going to talk about what can happen with that empty space if we don't treat it the way that we should. And we're going to break down the criteria that any new opportunity that comes into your life and business should really be filtered through before you even consider saying yes. So first, let's celebrate that you have taken the first step and said a graceful no. Whatever you said no to, it allowed you to create space on your calendar that can sometimes feel a bit like a vacuum. That empty space can feel liberating and freeing, but it can also feel terrifying. And if you are a recovering people pleaser like me or a high achiever, empty space on your calendar can feel a little bit like failure. And it can trigger all of our deepest fears of lack and scarcity. But one of the worst things that can happen is that we take less time to think about what needs to actually fill that space. And we rush into it with the next thing that presents itself that's just okay or good enough. And we do that because we want the fear and anxiety to go away. And even worse than this is sometimes we can have an overwhelming sense of guilt or regret about the no that we just said. That thing that we said, we're not going to do this anymore because it's not the best thing for me right now in my life or my business. And when we start feeling this anxiety over this empty space, one of the worst things that we can do is go back to the same commitment that we just said no to. But it happens all the time. It's happened to the best of us. When we do these things, it's because we're operating from a place of fear, not faith. We're not trusting the process. We don't trust that by letting go of something that's just okay, we've made space for something amazing to come along. So, what we need to do in these times is we need to protect this space. And we do this I have found a great way to do this is by creating a checklist that makes sure that the old habits that you had that allowed you to say yes to something that was just okay don't step back in. That we really lean into this new higher standard that we've set for ourselves, and we only allow in our lives and our business something that is a hell yes. So what I've done to make it easier for myself is create a hell yes checklist. And I've used this with my clients, and it's just something that makes it really easy to see whether or not a new commitment is right for you. What I'm going to do to make this a little easier to understand is use the example from last week's episode. So I made a difficult decision to step away from a business group that I had been involved in for years. And this created space on my calendar. Then an opportunity came along for a new potential client project. Let's go ahead and run that client project through the checklist, and I will show you why this was an instant hell yes for me. The first question, it's just a 3-question checklist. So the first question is, does this opportunity spark genuine excitement and align with my passions? This can also be looked at as a fun factor, but it's deeper than fun. It's that gut feeling when a project connects with your unique zone of genius. Now, the business group no longer sparked excitement for me. It wasn't terrible, I didn't dread it, but instead of filling me up, I mean, like filling me up the way a hydrant fills you up. Some joy trickled in, but mostly I just felt like I was expending energy in that group. This client project, on the other hand, immediately lit a fire in me. Just the thought of potentially working with this client gives me so much energy. That's the kind of spark I'm talking about. That's what we want if it's a yes for step 1. The second check in our checklist is, will this require me to stretch beyond my comfort zone and grow? So this is when we're talking about being just a little bit uncomfortable. Because when it's a real, true hell yes, it needs to have at least a little bit of a healthy challenge. A hell yes is going to ask you to become a bigger, more capable version of yourself. I've said it before, and I'm going to continue saying it for the rest of my life. If you are not growing in your life and your business, you're dying. Those are the only 2 options. So my role in the business group had become very comfortable, very familiar, and if I'm honest with myself, it had become pretty stagnant. The new client project was a challenge. It had the edge of discomfort that I have learned is a signal that I'm about to grow. And that is a key ingredient for a hell yes. Now, final question is, does this use my best skills to solve a meaningful problem? This is more about impact, because a hell yes opportunity is going to engage your entire mind, your entire being, and make you feel like your expertise is being put to the highest and best use. The group was no longer challenging me. I no longer felt like I was making a meaningful impact, but this potential client project was more complex. It was more high stakes than any other client project I'd managed before, and it would require all of my best skills to create the massive, tangible impact that this project is going to create in my community and far beyond. And that for me is a huge hell yes. So, quick review: a spark of excitement, stretching you, stepping outside of your comfort zone, and meaningful, purposeful impact. It's a very simple framework, and it can completely transform your decision-making process because it moves you from a place of fear and obligation into a place of power and intention. And it gives you a simple tool to use when you're tempted to fill your calendar with maybes or should do's. I don't know about you, but I often find myself saying yes to things because I think I should. And I'm learning to let go of that. So when a new opportunity arises for you, whether it's in your life or in your business, don't ask, do I have time for this? Do I have the ability to do this? Instead, ask these 3 questions. Does it spark my passion? And I'm not talking a tiny little flame. We want this to be a bonfire with gasoline poured on it. The second question is, does it stretch my capabilities? Does it make me step just a little bit outside of my comfort zone? The third question is, does it create a meaningful impact? Now that's purpose and it's defined by a million different things, but you'll know it when you see it. And if the answer to all of these three is a resounding hell yes, then you know that you can proceed with full confidence. But if even one of these questions is a no or maybe, it's not necessarily a time to throw the baby out with the bathwater, but it's certainly a sign to take a pause. Ask yourself if this is just one more good, okay thing that is going to take up your time and distract you from the incredibly amazing, great thing that hasn't just gotten here yet. Holding out for a hell yes is an act of self-respect. And it's also what is going to help you grow your business. It's how you can make sure that your most valuable asset, which is your time, it's the thing that you fought so hard to create, is filled with work that truly matters to you. So when you take the information from last week and the Graceful No, that's going to help you create space in your calendar. Then you can start implementing the Hell Yes checklist to protect that space. When you put them together, they are a powerhouse. They allow you to design a business and a life that you are excited to wake up to every single day. Because when it comes down to it, you started your business to create something that doesn't just look good on paper, but feels good deep in your soul. Navigating new opportunities and holding firm to higher standards that you are trying to step into can be challenging, especially when you are used to saying yes to everyone. So if you would like someone to come alongside you and help you evaluate what's next and give you the confidence to hold out for your hell yes, I would love for you to book a next level call with me. The link is in the show notes below. But first, this week, what I want you to do is simple. Look at one new opportunity that starts showing up on your radar and run it through this three-step checklist. Does it spark my passion? Does it stretch my abilities? And does it create a meaningful impact? Just see how it feels. It doesn't mean you have to say no to it if it doesn't pass the checklist. It doesn't mean you have to say yes to it if it does, but just see how it feels. And you can start practicing holding out for your next hell yes. Because the one thing I can guarantee you is that it is always worth the wait. Until next week, keep leading with integrity, serving with heart, and don't settle for anything less than a hell yes.